What is good, YouTube? It's your boy Spuds coming back with another video here. This time I'm doing a Edison format deck tier list. I think I said I would do one of these like a few months ago when I made my last video on an X-Saber deck. But yeah, obviously just didn't get around to it, lol. But here it is anyway. So yeah, tier list video. I'm going to show some lists from Dueling Book here. I don't have all these deck lists in my Dueling Book. I mean, some of them I haven't played at all. Some of them are just kind of shit. So if I call one of your favorite decks shit and don't really talk about it, that's just my bad. Apologies, but yeah, gonna go through probably most of these. As with every tier list video, I'm gonna have some blistering cold takes, but I also I'm gonna have some spicy ones, I think. So yeah, let's just without further ado, let's just jump right into it. Of course, this is just my opinion, so if you don't like it, you're just simply wrong. So let's start with the first deck here. I'm just gonna go left to right through all these. So and I'm gonna like order them in the tier list like from left to right. It's in best to worst. So like the far left S deck will be the best deck, and then so on and so forth. Let's start with X-Sabers. So I don't think X-Sabers is entirely as bad as people think it is. This is just like a list I've been kind of cooking with. This is like I haven't tested this much at all. I think the list that I probably profiled on my channel, my last video was better, but I've just been trying out like Vortex Troopers and a Giant Rat or some shit. And the side deck's pretty out of whack. But yeah, I don't think this deck is as bad as people make it out to be. It's got to be either like C tier or like very very low B. I'm not sure if I can in good conscience put it in B tier, so I'm going to start with C tier, and we'll just see how we go as the video progresses. The next is like this Diva Frog list. So I don't really have like a deck list for this, but I mean, yeah, it's just like frogs with like divas, right? So you kind of get the gist of oh, my thing was just lagging there, but yeah, I mean, you kind of get the gist of it. I think you play like a 3-star water guy. You can get it with diva. You play like salvages and stuff. It's like less monarch based and a bit more like synchro, I guess, based. I'm just gonna go ahead and put this in like A tier. I really haven't tested this deck at all, but I mean, I feel like any deck with frogs is like at least somewhat good, except the fish OTK deck. And Diva's obviously a great card as well, so I feel like it has to be at least solid. I mean, I just don't see how it can be any like terrible. Pure. I guess this is pure like Ancient Gears because there's a machiner thing over here. So pure Ancient Gears, I think, would be pretty average. I mean, I just don't see why you wouldn't play the machiner version. Like Fortress is a pretty solid card, and yeah, obviously, like the thing about the Ancient Gear stuff is like, especially Gajiltron is just like it's just weak to like recruiters and shit. Like you bring out like a 3K dude, but if your opponent sets like a Mystic Tomato, it's like, I mean, what do you swing into it and they get like a Sengan and just shoot for Kai's? It's like, yeah, sick dude. Like I mean, this deck just yeah. I'm not gonna. I guess it's either B or C tier. I mean, I haven't really played it at all. It just seems kind of awful. I'm gonna put it in B tier. It's probably better than X-Sabers. Let's be real. Like let's be absolutely real. So this is Quick Draw with Volcanics. I'm assuming this is like a very like the list that something like Joshua Smith, I think, played with like no traps, or like maybe you like run Treacherous. I don't know if I have a list for it. My Quick Draw list is more trap based, I think. Let me just double check. Where did I put Quick Draw? Yeah, here we go. Yeah, this is a more trap bait list. Although I do play Volcanic Shells in this list, so but yeah, so this is more like just a very little traps. You play like battle faders and stuff like this. I think this deck is just strictly worse than the trap heavy quick draw list for a multitude of reasons. Basically, like you just scoop to Blackwings with this list, and with the trap based list, like this kind of list like this, your Blackwing matchup is like definitely not great. It's probably your worst matchup in the format. But like with the 0 traps, yeah, I mean you actually just scoop to it. Like you can't. I don't think you can even win. So I would never play an event with a deck that just scoops to Blackwings. I mean that's just a pretty bad strategy. So yeah, I'll just put this in like. Look, I'm just going to use X-Sabers as the barometer for a C tier deck, so it's got to be better than X-Sabers, but like it's not very good. Chain Burn, sorry. I haven't played this deck at all. I feel like you just lose game 2 and game 3 to a lot of cards. Game 1 it's probably okay. I think I've lost a game 1 to it once, and then my opponent just quit on Dueling Book, so that's fair enough. I'm going to put it in C tier below X-Sabers. It's maybe it's D tier. I actually don't know. This is Diva Heroes, I would guess. I'll obviously show you a list. I just have you have like the True Heroes list. It's like probably well, not the standard for sure, but like it's a list that's done very well. Obviously came second at the Nationals event in America for Edison, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, this deck's great. Whether you play Snowmans or like you play the Treeborn and Gold Sark version, it's really good. It's obviously just got to be S tier. I wouldn't say it's the best deck in the format. It obviously is quite inconsistent sometimes, and like sometimes you kind of just can't play the game, and you brick and you have to wait until your opponent does stuff, and you draw more cards, like you draw Fuge Fusion or Miracle, etc. But yeah, it's obviously super powerful. So I don't think you can put it any lower than S. Fairies. So this is just straight fairies, like the trap version, to give you an idea of the list. Everyone's probably played against it, played with it now. Something like this. Again, this is like not a list I would recommend. Usually they don't play Caius or like Hamster, but there's more kind of maybe like there's I don't know, Solar Purity and Light in here or something, or something or other. More traps probably. Yeah, I don't even know if this is a hot take anymore. I think this deck is fucking dog shit, to be honest. Like, it's definitely B tier. It's got to be better than these decks for sure. But yeah, basically, like when I came into Edison, I started playing this deck. Everyone said it was really good. And let's just say like you didn't play Kaisis, right? Like, imagine these aren't here. Yeah, you kind of just like scoop like you can't even get over a hamster in defense. Like, you swing your Diddy Warrior Lady into a hamster and then have to like use its effect to kill the hamster, banish the hamster. Sorry, because you can't even kill the hamster. Like, all your monsters are below. Like, how do you actually? You have like usually these decks play one Raikou. This is just a weird list with Avarice and stuff I was trying out because I was trying to like fix that problem. But it's like you play one Raikou, all your monsters are below 1800. Like, even like a Debris Dragon in defense. Like, people just like the way you play against fairies is you just like drop Gauze or something on like a attack from like say like a Dimensional Alchemist or Recruiter, and you just sit your monsters in defense, and they literally can't play the game. Like, they have to sack 2 monsters for Christia and then hope it doesn't get fucking outed. Like, this deck honestly just sucks ass. Like, and yeah, I mean, I think one of the worst matchups of this deck is Frogs, which seems kind of counterintuitive because you play 3 Herald of Orange Light and you play 3 Christia, but like you're just so slow to get Christia out. It's just like you have like at least 4 recruiters. Most people probably play like 5 to 6 in these trap heavy lists. And yeah, your shit just gets Caiused or Rised. It's just awful. Like, it just feels really bad to play the Frogs. So I'm putting in B tier. It might be lower towards B tier, but it's better than these decks for sure. This is Hero Beat. So this is like a little city kind of deck with like, Skyscraper and more of like a traditional Hero Beat deck. I do have this somewhere. What is it? It's yeah, is this it? Yeah, this is it. So I actually really enjoy this list. Just for nostalgia reasons, like the skill change in the main I think is debatable. Like, I probably would have maybe cut one of these. Like, I do enjoy the Snowmans, the Cyber Dragons. The Captain Gold is actually like really handy sometimes. It obviously sucks a lot when you swing with your hero and your Skyscraper gets Typhoon. That's obviously terrible, but it is what it is. Yeah, I enjoy this list. It is probably just worse than the Diva hero list, which I'll show you obviously when we get to that. Obviously, yeah, it feels better than not drawing Gilmans, but like Diva is just a really powerful card, and Snowman is quite slow as well. So yeah, I mean, it's strictly just probably worse than the Diva hero list, but I think it's A tier still. Like, yeah, I don't know where I put it. I probably put it over this Frog Diva list. Maybe, I don't know. As I said, I haven't played this deck much, so I can't really say. Like, I have a pretty uneducated opinion on this deck. Next, we've got not Disaster Dragons, Dragon Turbo, which I've called Disco because it's just a bit of a fun deck. This is a list that Ghost Rider won his the RBAT with. Yeah, like when you play it, obviously it's a a casino deck, as some would say. Like, sometimes it feels insane, sometimes you just can't play. I remember when I was playing a list that was more like common without the Recklesses and without the Vortex Troopers, but like with Second Avarice and Prime Material and what's that card called? Clear Vice and stuff. The old list that people used to play. I remember I played on Dueling Book and lost the game to Truckroid because he just summoned like 2 Truckroid and just killed me, and I was like, okay, I'm just never playing this deck again. But I mean, this deck is just it is pretty undeniable as a force to be reckoned with, just because like you can just lose very easily to this if they open decently or draw like decently off the draw cards. And I think a very underrated part of this deck is that it's probably the best deck in Edison format at going second. Because yeah, if you open like really broken, you don't really give a shit if you go first or second. Like obviously going first is much better. That's just how it is with every deck. But a lot of times this deck doesn't even interact with your opponent like until you actually kill them. So yeah, like aside from drawing Reckless Greeds and getting them end phase Typhooned, going second doesn't deter this deck too much. Whereas I feel like in a lot of other decks, it's like kind of a huge thing going second. So I think this is actually the best deck going second and kind of obviously mounting a hand as you do a super rejuice and then just killing your opponent on the next turn or what have you. So I think that's a pretty underrated thing about this deck. Obviously it can brick, which we all know. Is it better than Hero Bait though? Probably, to be honest. Like, would I rather verse Hero Beat or Dragon Turbo? I guess that's not a fair way to rank them, but like, yeah, it's probably better than fucking Hero Beat. Like, I mean, it won an event, so obviously it's got to be at least somewhat good. I mean, straight Hero Beat hasn't won an event. It did top maybe 2 RB ETs ago, but yeah, I don't know. I'll just put it like this. This is the evil hero deck. I mean, this deck is like slightly annoying to play against sometimes, but most of the time they just can't even play the game. Like, they summon a Prisma and just pass and you just win. Like it's pretty average. Let's be real. I'm inclined to put it in C tier. Like if I'm putting this in D tier, I mean I might have to put fucking X Sabers in D tier, but like, yeah, it's probably a bit worse than X Sabers. It's probably better than Chainman, to be fair. Maybe it's better than X Sabers. It probably is, yeah. I don't know. We'll leave it like that. Diva Zombies. This might also be another like lukewarm take, I guess. I think Diva Zombies is pretty shit. And by the pretty shit as in not as good as everyone thinks it is. I think everyone who I've seen recently will rank it in S tier, but I just don't think it's good enough. Like, I know I made a video a few months ago where I showed my Diva Zombie deck that I won a tournament with, and I was like, yeah, this deck's probably the best deck in Edison format. Yeah, as things develop, it's just it's just not good enough, is it? Like, yeah, you really need 2 normal summons a turn. Like, that's just kind of the sad truth of the matter. Like, you either need 2 normal summons a turn usually, or you need to rely on your opponent like attacking into your recruiters so you can get Goblin Zombie and then set up a play next turn with Diva or Plague. And I feel like any deck where you have to rely on your opponent attacking into your set monsters, especially talking about fairies as well here, like it's just that's just a bad strategy. Like, eventually you're going to play against someone who realizes, okay, I just shouldn't attack here, and I probably just win the game. And that's the kind of case with Diva Zombies. Sometimes you can get lucky and draw the Goblin Zombie, and then your opponent doesn't swing, and then you have the Diva, and it's like kind of nice. But again, like, you're also just weak to a trap, obviously, because you really need Bryanak to stick to actually win the game, and then obviously you can't use Prior with Bryanak if you sync with Goblin Zombies. So it just feels kind of slightly underpowered compared to the other decks I put in S tier. I'd probably say it's better than Dragon Turbo just because it has more consistent tops. And it does kind of top every now. Like, it does top like most events, I'd say. But it's usually only one player in the top cut. And then it has like events where it just doesn't top at all. Where I feel like the S tier decks I'm going to put in here, they always top. And there's just like, sometimes multiple of these decks in top cuts. So I think, Diva Zombies is not quite S tier. I can't put it any lower in A tier. Although I just hate playing this deck. It just feels really underpowered. All right. Okay. I should probably show a because I logged myself out there. I should probably show a zombie list. I just get a bit yeah, I got a bit like carried away there. This is I just call it Soul Zombies because he won the IBT. Yeah, I've been trying out Cyber Dragons in the main. It just doesn't really help the deck's weaknesses. It's kind of rough. I think Call is probably mandatory as well. Even though I didn't like it originally, and Return maybe over Burial. Anyway, this is the list, something like this. It's fine. So Lightsworn's here. Yeah, maybe another little bit of a like slightly mildly hot, like burn your finger on the stove take. I think Lightsworn's is really good. At least in a similar sense of kind of like Dragon Turbo, where it's like, I really would never ever want to verse Lightsworns in a tournament. Just because, like, I mean, you can just get absolutely fisted. Like, and this again, this is like a kind of bad, weird list with values and stuff. I haven't played Lightsworns on DB in a while, but I guess I would play something like the list that topped the recent Deck Devastators 4 with like Glorious Illusions and stuff, something like that maybe. But maybe Caius, but is a Caius in here? No, never mind. All right. But yeah, this deck is just like really fucking frustrating to play against. I mean, yeah, like it's just even though it is interactive, it feels very uninteractive sometimes. When your opponent mills a wolf, like it can just completely shift the game on its head. Or like especially like if they mill like a gardener, man, that is so annoying. Like just negating an attack is fucking broken. And plague as well, like yeah, obviously being able to make a synchro easily. I mean, JD's whatever. It is what it is. Would I say it's better than Diva Zombies? Maybe. I'd much rather verse Diva Zombies than Lights ones, to be honest. Obviously it can brick sometimes, and like, but so can Diva Zombies. Diva Zombies is probably more consistent, but I mean peak wise, like I think Lights one has a higher peak than Diva Zombies, honestly. So I'm gonna put Lights ones probably at the top of A tier. I think it's like actually solid. Like, yeah. So that's that. Fish OTK. Yeah, like I've honestly played against this deck once or twice, and it was just a free win. I've never played this deck. I've heard it, like people thought it was good at some point, but I mean, it hasn't done anything in Yonks, so I'm just going to put it here. Again, a very uneducated opinion. It might be better than X-Sabers. It might be better than these decks, but I mean, yeah, whatever. Like, who really cares in the grand scheme of things? Yeah, Hero Frogs. I'm going to put this above Deep Hero. Yeah, so I mean, Hero Frogs is pretty undeniable. I have it somewhere here. This is Frogs. This is just... Yeah, this is another list I've just been cooking up. Here it is. Yeah, so this is kind of like a list that's... It's a bit of an amalgamation of like the Fraser Smith list that topped the Nationals and the person who also top 8'd but went like EXO in Swiss. Yeah, I don't know. This deck is really powerful. Like, it sometimes you do. Obviously, it has consistency issues, as does every deck in Edison, which is one of the reasons why it's such a balanced format. Like sometimes you'll draw like half of your engine, like you'll draw like the Frogs and the Monarchs, but then you won't draw any heroes, and your Miracles will be dead. Or like sometimes you'll draw like the hero package and Monarchs and no Frogs, and then like you kind of it's really awkward. But yeah, the fact that like you compare Monarchs, which are obviously just incredibly broken in this format, with like Miracles, which is probably one of the best cards in the format. Like yeah, it's just fucked up. So I mean yeah, and this deck just tops every event, at least one. Like we saw at Nationals, there was like 3 in the top 8 or some shit. So yeah, I think it's pretty hard to deny that this deck's like busted and obviously S tier. I would say it's better than Diva Hero, just because Diva Hero, like, I think it tops more consistently than Diva Hero. I think like if you took away like a true hero, I guess it's kind of the same for Fraser Smith with Frog Heroes, but I was just going to say, like, if you took away a true hero out of Edison format, like Diva Hero would probably see a lot less tops. But Diva Hero is obviously a really good deck. I just think Hero Frogs edges it out slightly. Do Block is obviously very annoying for a lot of decks, and yeah, as are Monarchs. So yeah, here is Pure Blackwings. I would assume Pure Blackwings... Yeah, I mean, you can't really, like, what can you say about this deck? Like, it's just obviously S tier. There's not much to say about it. Where's a Pure Blackwing list? I don't even know if I have one because I just don't play this deck at all. But, okay, here's one. Playing 3 Legacy. This should be upstarts, but whatever. It is what it is. Yeah, I think Black Whirlwind's the best card in the format. There's no if, ands, or buts about it. Yeah, I mean, you get to play like Oppression, you get to play Dark Armed. It's just broken. So I mean, yeah, nothing more to say. Flameveil Zombies, like this deck is. I haven't even played this deck at all, really. I mean, obviously it's got to be worse than Diva Zombies. That's just kind of how it is. I don't even have a list for this in DB. I don't think. No, I don't. Yeah, just because I haven't really played it. Like, I mean, I just didn't really quite see the point. Like, obviously, it's kind of fun to rekindling and stuff, but like, if it's just strictly worse than Diva Zombies, I mean, why play it? Is it B tier? Probably. It probably is B tier. If we're gonna, yeah, I think so. So, yeah, I'm just gonna chuck it here. It's obviously better than Ancient Gears. This should probably go to C to be real, but it is what it is. We'll see how we go. This is Disaster Dragons. So. I'm going to talk about a couple of things here. I think the standard list of Disaster Dragons with this isn't this. This is the The one here is a Fitz list that won the tournament, won the Deck Devastators tournament with like upstarts, and you play snowmans and like debris and stuff. I kind of like this list. I guess I'll rank this Disaster Dragons list as this deck. But if I was just talking about the deck that plays Masked Dragons, like is shown here, and it plays like D Warrior Lady and other stuff, like you play Totem Dragon and shit, I think that deck's really awful. It's just Future Fusion or you lose the game. Like very rare instances, where like Kawaki Maru Drago gets you there, or maybe sometimes you can just go really aggressive with Red Eyes play and somehow get through. Like maybe if you start road something and then you have a Stardust to block a bottomless or some shit, then you can win. But yeah, it's just really weak and underpowered, unless you draw Future Fusion and resolve it, in which case it's the best deck in the game. So, I mean, to hinge on, like, to win or lose on that, it just seems ridiculous. I would probably put that deck in, like, C tier, honestly. I just think it's fucking trash. But if we're talking about this Fitz list, which I think is like a pretty good innovation into the deck, honestly, like I think Debris gives you a really nice Black Rose play to out-establish boards. It also can really help if you're trying to resolve your Future Fusion, like you just Black Rose like a monster and a spell a trap, and then resolve Future Fusion and just try to win the game. I think upstarts are an absolutely necessary inclusion if you're trying to just see the Future Fusion. Basically, I kind of like Gauze as well. A Spirit Reaper's cool. There's just a lot of like nifty things I like in this deck. I don't know about the 2 red MD instead of 3, but I'm like not well versed enough on this deck to like kind of give an opinion on that. But yeah, I would probably rank this Fitz list in B tier. Yeah, I would rather play this deck over Fairies if I'm being real. Like I just think Fairies is awful. Fairies might be better than this list, but like, yeah, I think I fucking hate Fairies. All right, next deck, Gladiator Beasts. I am going to come out with maybe a little, again, another little hot take here. This might be the list that I run. I'm not sure. Yeah, this is a list that I enjoy playing of GBs. I have been thinking about maining D-Fissure in GBs, and maybe like cutting Prismas or something, and then playing like more Proving Grounds and more of a GB focused list with D-Fissure in the main, but that's something I'm yet to test out. Yeah, I think GBs is like actually not that bad. I'm going to put it at the top of B tier. I think A tier is a bit of a stretch, but like, yeah, I mean, you have some good matchups, right? Like you have like a good matchup against Frogs, which is, I mean, cannot be like, that can't be understated. Like having a good matchup against one of the best decks in the format is pretty nice. There's also just a lot of other slower decks. If you just get rolling, like Diva Zombies or like Light Swans. I mean, obviously they're not, Light Swans aren't slow, but like sometimes they can brick, and if you just get rolling, it's fucking over. All these Frog variants, Quick Draw and stuff. Like there are like a lot of favorable matchups from this deck. For this deck, sorry. Obviously, the issue is like when you get behind in the game, it's really hard to come back. I think there are ways you can kind of play to, like try to hold like your Test Tigers and your Prismas and shit to have a Geysers play to kind of follow up and maybe like, have a bit of a less like, I guess, illustrious turn, but have like a bit of a play in hand to kind of come back with. So there's ways to like kind of play the deck in that kind of fashion. If your opponent can maybe Black Rose you or what, so on and so forth. But yeah, it has very obvious weaknesses. Like going second is pretty rough. It's kind of fragile to Heavy Storm, which means you have to play, Starlight Roads, which can often be dead sometimes. It has a pretty weak Hero and Blackwing matchup, which is pretty rough as well. But yeah, I mean, this is one of the most obnoxious deck to verse when it gets rolling. Maybe even more so than Light Swans, and like maybe Dragon Turbo is probably the most obnoxious, but like GBs is certainly up there. I mean, once they get going and start tagging a few times, like the game is just fucked, and it just feels like you can't even play. So I don't think, excuse me, I don't think GBs is as bad as people say it is. I do think A tier is a stretch, but I would like if I was going to a tournament like online or whatever, or like maybe I was playing a fucking winner box IRL, I'd rather play GBs than Disaster Dragons. Like no cap. So all right, let's go gadgets. I think I've just got a bit of a meme gadget list in my. I think I've called it gadget trash. So this is a fucking meme with like Altar and Offering and Monarchs and stuff. I would assume this is like the Solidarity gadget list. The Solidarity gadget list is like actually not bad. I think like it's a solid B tier deck. I think Solidarity is pretty pretty underrated card, to be honest. Like, just bumping your monsters by 800 is kind of fucked. So, obviously, I don't have the solidarity list here, but just imagine what that would be like. I'm sure you've probably seen one. It's definitely B tier. Where would I put it? I don't think I can like actually put it above fairies. I mean, I would rather play this list than fairies because I hate it. I like decks than fairies. I hate fairies, but like if we're being real, it's probably it's probably below it. I guess this deck is just pure Flame Veil, which obviously I have nothing for. Like you would play like the Flame Veil cards and like Gravekeeper Spies and stuff like that. I mean, it's just got to be worse than the zombie list, right? Like I would assume. Nah, it has to be worse. There's no way it's better. I guess we'll put this at the bottom of B tier. This should probably move down as well, I would say. Maybe like this or something. I think maybe this deck can go C tier. Yeah, so that's all I'll touch on Flame Veils. Like, I would just rather play Flame Veil Zombies in the non-zombie list. Amaryllis, this is a deck I haven't played at all, to be honest. So I'm going to give a pretty uneducated opinion. Like, I don't even have a list for it in my DB. I feel like this is probably maybe this is top of the A tier. I've seen people put it in S tier. I don't know, man. Like, I get it. Like, it's annoying to verse for sure, but I feel like once people learn kind of how to play against it more, it's probably going to be like that frog burn deck where it's like it's good when people like kind of make mistakes against it, like even the small mistakes, like you can get like free wins off of that. I think once people understand how to use their resources correctly against these kind of cards, like and side correctly and stuff like that, it's probably going to be worse. I certainly think it's better than the Frogburn deck. I'm not saying this is a bad deck. And again, this is quite an uneducated opinion, so I'm like absolutely open to the fact that to the possibility that I could be wrong. I just wouldn't put it in S tier with these decks. I just don't think that's reasonable, to be honest. But maybe it is. Okay, quick draw. This is a trap quick draw list, as I have showcased here. Yeah, this is something I'm cooking with. So, I like the volcanic shells in the main board because it makes your Avarice more alive. It also allows you to play Regeki Break, which I think Regeki Break is really solid. I mean, it can obviously act like second and third Typhoons against matchups like Black Wings, where you need to kill a Whirlwind, or against Disaster Dragons, where you need to kill Future Fusion, for example. They can also just act as outstun monsters, which is really nice. So it's just a versatile card, and obviously having like 5 discard outlets for this is quite nice. I'm also testing Storm Eaters just for the Hero Beat matchup and Blackwing matchup, which can be kind of rough. There are obviously more targets for Debris Dragon, so I've added a third Debris Dragon for that reason. I would not say this is like a very, very good deck, but I am inclined to put this. It's going to be either top of B tier. I know keep saying like top of B tier, but the more I go through, it's either top of B tier or A tier. I think A tier might be a slight stretch, but again, this deck has a good frog matchup, which cannot be overstated. Like, that is, obviously very nice. And I think the reason why it has a good frog matchup is, I know some people don't seem to think so, but I think Titanial is obviously one of the best cards in the format against frogs. It's just straight up fucked. Like, if you can get multiple tokens, or you have the play where you have 2 Danny tokens and you go Lone Fire into Lone Fire, tribute both tokens into Titanial. That's just broken. And I think Quick Draw is really good against frogs as well. At least game 1 pre-Vanity's Fiend, just because they don't really have many outs to it in their deck, and you can just keep attacking for free. And the Quick Draw Dandy lock is actually really good, like pretty good against frogs. They have a bit of a trouble like flooding the board. So. I think this deck, it has a good frog matchup. It's definitely not as good as the GB frog matchup, but it is good nonetheless. You are pretty weak to Black Wings. Like, let's not beat around the bush here. Like, Oppression is annoying. Icarus Attack is really annoying as well. Kaloot's, kind of frustrating to verse. The Hero Beat matchup, I think, is not necessarily too great either. It's not terrible, but you wouldn't really go into it expecting to win too often. And or over 50% of the time, should I say? And but other than that, it's pretty solid. Pot of Avarice is a really good card, so I think playing 3 is pretty stable. I'm gonna say B tier. All right, next we've got Vayu Turbo. Here's a list. I think this is the one that won the Nationals. tournaments. Yep, this is. Yeah, look, this is the best deck. I'm just gonna say it. Yeah, I don't know. It kind of fell out of favor with people for a little while, which is kind of odd. Myself included. Like I came into when I started playing Edison format, I just thought Vi was the best deck, and then I don't know for whatever reason I just assumed it wasn't. I think I was playing like a pretty average list, to be fair. But yeah, like since the Nationals like tournament, it's just won like every tournament I think that's been on, like 3 or 4 or some shit. Like and it's just multiple spots in the top, and you play it and you realize wow, it's just so consistently good. There's not really that like many bad matchups for you. Like you're not really hating life versing any decks, honestly. Like maybe frogs at some point, but like I feel like oppressions really help against a hero frog list, and sometimes you can just rush them down and like, you can deal 4k very easily, obviously with just Greffer and Vayu or a Sirocco in hand. And then if your opponent doesn't have Battle Fader or Gauze or Trag or whatever, they're just on half their life points, and then they're just like immediately under pressure of dying. Spirit Reaper is a nice inclusion to again kind of pressure frogs and can just get there in certain situations. So yeah, I think it's just a really solid list overall, and one of the most consistent decks for sure. And yeah, it just gets the job done. Gravekeepers, I'm just going to put in D tier. This might be a bit unfair. Like, maybe it's better than Chain Burn, but whatever. Like, I got Royal Attributed once for like 4 cards, and it just, pissed me off. So, yeah, Gravekeepers can go in D tier. So, take that. Synchro Cat, I would assume this is like the Billy Break kind of list that came second in the actual, or was it second or top? I can't remember. Top 4 or second in the actual Edison tournament. This deck is definitely B tier. I think putting it C tier is just probably being too much of a hater. But it's not very good. Like, is it worse than Gadgets? It's probably here or here. Let's be real. Yeah, I'd probably put it worse than Gadgets, to be honest. Like, you just have to set a bunch of monsters. And, like, I mean, you just scoop first frogs, I feel like. It's just terrible. And, like, your pop-off plays are, like, summon a monkey into a cat, into double Airbellum, and you make a Arcanite Magician Airbellum, and then your Airbellum dies. Like, that's just... Yeah, you play Avarice, so, like, obviously you can recycle cards. I probably have a cat list here, actually. I feel like I should. Cat plants. I mean, this is obviously different, but like this is somewhat of I've got a single cat list. There we go. Yeah, this is like a very weird list with deepers and stuff. I played this deck once at a tournament and just hated it. So yeah, that's there that is. But yeah, you just have to set a bunch of monsters. Going second is really weak. Yeah, like your pop-off plays aren't even that good. Like, you just have to hope like Avarice gets you there. It's just not great. Like, let's be real. This is the hybrid Blackwing list. I don't know if I have a list for this, but it's pretty. I'm sure everyone's seen it. Obviously, it's just playing more Greffers it's just playing like 2 Greffers and 3 Vayus. Other than that, the list is very similar to this Blackwing list. I kind of think this deck is better than Blackwings at the moment, and I'll probably move these around. I'm gonna put Hero Frogs behind Blackwings both iterations. This is certainly debatable. I could see an argument for Hero Frogs being better than these decks, but I mean, yeah, these decks are just like Blackwings is just obnoxious a lot of the time. I think the reason that it doesn't top as much anymore is because people are just sick of playing the deck, which is not like true for everyone. It's certainly highly represented, but I feel like, if you're really, really trying to win a tournament, like probably Blackwings is Blackwings or Vayu is the go. But that's just pretty mind numbing to play. So like I think a lot of people steer away from it. Yeah, I enjoy the hybrid version more these days, just because I feel like this Blackwing Pure list is a bit low on monsters, and sometimes you kind of just have to like summon a Kalut into your Whirlwind, and then if your Whirlwind gets Typhooned or Dusted, you just lose. Or like if you have like one monster, like a 1 Sirocco or 1 Shura, and if it gets bottomless, you're kind of fucked. Obviously both are good, but I feel like the hybrid version is a bit more versatile and a bit better, possibly. So that's there. Kuraz, KFC. Yeah, I mean, this deck is like... Yeah, it's cool. Like, I just put it as card. Oh, no, this one. Yeah, like, it's obviously... I obviously enjoy. Do I enjoy playing it? Yeah, I guess so. It's kind of fun, but like it's pretty shit. Let's be real. Like, yeah, it's not great. I mean, you have like there's like I wouldn't say it's shit, but like there's very some games you like have some cool stuff happen. And you're like, man, this deck's kind of cool, kind of good, and then there's other games you're just like, oh, I just can't do anything, and like none of my players are good. And I have to just like throw a Gajiltron into like back row or something. I don't know. Like I tested this deck. I haven't played this deck for a while, to be fair. So like, and this list is definitely not like optimal. I'm not saying that at all. But yeah, I wouldn't say this is a particularly good deck. I think B tier is probably reasonable. Would I again like? I feel like it's probably somewhere between like gadgets and fairies and Synchro Cat. I mean, I'm just gonna have to put it below Synchro Cat. I think, because I mean, as far as I'm aware, it's never really topped anything. I don't know if Synchro Cat has it either, but like, yeah, I guess Synchro Cat's more of a mainstream deck. I don't know. We'll just put it here. Who really cares, to be honest? This is like Skill Drain Zombies or some shit. I'm just gonna put a D tier because like, why the fuck would you not just play Diva Zombies? Like, it makes no sense. All right, this is just pure frog, like junk frog. This is definitely going bottom A tier. Like towards the bottom. Sorry, I just can't decide whether it's worse or better than the Diva Frog list. I mean, like I said, I haven't played the Diva Frog list, so I'm just gonna do this. Yeah, this deck is really weak to pulling the rug, as we know, and obviously Masters of Restrict. Yeah, like it feels like you just absolutely fold game 2 and game 3. I'm not gonna lie. Game 1 is like if you open frog access, it can be very good, obviously, as monarchs are just overpowered. But yeah, game 2 and game 3, it feels really hard to play. And yeah, obviously, as we know, you're very normal summon reliant, completely normal summon reliant actually. And yeah, even like in game 1, if your opponent draws like a Solemn Judgment at the right time, like you kind of just fucking lose. So it's obviously better than like a lot of these kind of memeier decks because it's got frogs and it's got monarchs. But yeah, I would like never ever want to play this in like an actual tournament because you just and like everyone's citing so much frog hate these days. I mean, wait, just play hero frogs. There's just no reason to hero frogs. There's no reason to play normal frogs. But to give you a list, I think I have it on here. So. This is this is a main list. So I was trying to test like quick draws and volcanic shells, but you get the gist, obviously. All right, this is Diva Heroes. Diva Heroes just like has to be S tier, I think. Diva Hero Beat, sorry. I am gonna put it at the bottom of S tier. I think I have a list, right? Is this it? This is another main list. Yeah. All right, I've got a lot of main lists here, but yeah, you get the idea. It's Hero Beat with Divas, and everyone's seen the list. 2 Spine Gilman. Obviously you're not playing these cards and all these cards, but this was just what I was testing out. Yeah, it's pretty much undeniably S tier just due to its results, but like it doesn't feel great to play in my opinion. Obviously the two Gilman's really annoying. I think this deck, like Hero Beat, just needs a few more good trap cards. Like the fact you kind of have to play Wing Blast in your main deck is not great. Like if there were like Solemn Warnings in the format like this, obviously every deck would be better. Obviously besides Frogs, but like this deck would get a real bump because I feel like there's just cards. There's like 3 slots in this deck where you're just like, man, I don't want to play anything here. Like I don't want to play upstarts because life points is actually kind of relevant. I don't really want to play like a Legacy Yardagarat, so it's like kind of slow. I don't want to play Wing Blast because like it's just, I mean, they're like obviously Wing Blast is a good card, but like you don't have any really like solid discard outlets. I mean, you have Gilman's, which you obviously don't really care about, but like at the same time, it's still a -1, assuming your opponent doesn't like put put 2 cards into 1, but. Yeah, so there's like 3 or 4 slots in this deck where I'm just like, I actually don't want to play any cards in the card pool, but I have to play Wing Blast. So it's like, yeah, and you play double Gilman. So, but like it's obviously S tier just because of results. So, all right, Christia Swan. I have another bit of a hot take here. I think this deck is worse than regular Light Swans, and I think this deck kind of sucks. Again, sucks is a relative term. It sucks compared to what people say. I am going to... Man, am I putting this here? Okay, I'm gonna say it's either like here or here. It's either, or maybe it's like here. We'll put it at the bottom of A. Yeah, I think this is another deck that did well when it was first popularized, but again, and I think I have a list. Yeah. Um, yeah, I think this is a bit different than the list most people play because I was trying some different stuff. Like, there's normally not a Gareth in here or a Gauze or like this, or this, or Wolf. But yeah, I think like once people realized the list of people were playing with no Gauze, no Trag, especially this with no Storm, no Dust Shoot, like we know the list topped the events, right? Once people actually knew the deck list, like I feel like it's really easy to play against this deck. Like, not gonna lie, I mean it is similar to Dragon Turbo in the sense that once it gets rolling, it's sometimes hard to stop. But at the same time, like I feel like a lot of the time it's just harder to get going than a deck like Dragon Turbo, or even regular Lights Ones. And I feel like a lot of times you can kind of overshoot the amount of fairies you have in bin, and sometimes you can't resolve a Beckoning Light successfully, due to your opponent have like Typhoon or something, or like you just can't get the numbers right. And then essentially your whole fairy package is just dead. Obviously you have solar purities to help with that, but like I feel like a lot of the time, not a lot of the times, but sometimes you really just can't get the amount of fairies in bin you need. So your half your deck is kind of just fucked. And yeah, the fact you play like absolutely no defense, aside from obviously the 3 Herald of Orange Light, like your opponent can just go absolutely apeshit against you, and like yeah, you just have to pray pray you get there. Like I know against this deck, like I've just started. I don't know. Like last time I played against this deck in a tournament, I just went absolutely balls to the wall, and yeah, I just knew if my opponent didn't have Herald, then the game was over. Like I made Bryanak and just like bounced their Raikou and just swung for 4K because I know they don't play Cause or Trag, and I just passed. And I don't like I know they don't play Brain Control either. So like I'm just sitting there like, okay, they either draw Herald or they just lose the game, which is sometimes the case here. And I think this deck is really really weak going second, especially if you're playing 3 Hamster. Like if your Hamster gets fucking Kai'd and you don't have a Herald, the game is just over. Like you just actually lose. So yeah, I think this deck is pretty bad. Again, that's a relative term to where people rank it. People were ranking it in S tier for a while, and now it's like more seeped to the bottom of A tier, top of A tier. Sorry, I would put it at the bottom of A tier. I might even put this at the top of B tier. Yeah, I just think it's like pretty average, to be honest. Next we'll go to Machiners. So I guess you can take this as a few kind of different decks. Oh, I don't have a Machiner deck, do I? This is a Machine KFC deck, which oh no, this is the machine. I've just named it wrong, but this is the Machine like Light One list. This necessarily isn't the list I would play, but it's just one that's here. It seems at least somewhat reasonable. I think this deck's fine. Seems a bit underpowered. Like Gear Frame's obviously good cards, like Strata. You play straight 3 Stratas basically. If your Fortress gets bottomless or Deep Prison, it's really annoying. Like this deck's certainly alright. I mean, it's probably like here, I would say. This might be a bit low. It might be A tier. But yeah, I feel like it's just a bit underpowered, honestly. Like it's cool. I like playing Avarice. I like playing Lightsworns. I don't know about D-Lore relays, but yeah, it's like it's fine. Yeah, you're obviously weak to Cyber Dragon. It is what it is. Like I would never play this deck myself, which is probably why I'm ranking it so low, just because I don't really enjoy it too much. But yeah, it's probably somewhere between like here and here or whatever. And it's fine. Next we have Welidad. So I really enjoy playing Welidad. This is a list that I played at. Oh no, this isn't the exact list. This is one that I was testing with like Lightsworns in it and playing Chaos Sork and shit like this, just to make make it a bit more turbo. But I played a deck like this at a tournament recently, with minus the Lightsworns, and I played like the zombie package, which is pretty standard, like the Goblin Zombies and the Mizuki and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm gonna rank this. It's definitely worse than Diva Zombies, unfortunately. I'm gonna put it. Yeah, I'm probably gonna put it below GBs, maybe below this one. Below Fairy? Nah, fuck Fairies, dude. Yeah, I'm gonna put it here. Unfortunately, what happens with this deck a lot of the time is it devolves into either you OTKing your opponent or you just losing. Like its grind game is very weak because most of the time you like only play one Caius, and you can fit in two Caius, but it's like a bit dead sometimes. So yeah, a lot of the time it devolves into like, all right, I'm gonna put 8k on the board. If my opponent has a good trap card, or if I'm versing frogs and they have like Battle Fader, or I'm versing a deck that plays Gauze and they have it, I'm just scooping. If not, I win. So it is pretty good at OTKing your opponent, but it is almost very one-dimensional in that sense, where like you just kind of have to go like balls deep a lot of the time, and then just like hope you get there. And to be fair, like you do get there at least some of the time, but I mean, it's not like, I don't know. I would rather play a deck that kind of interacts a bit more. I'm not saying this deck doesn't, but like, you know, in the sense that like, yeah, play more a bit of a grind game rather than just like, all right, I'm going to put my entire hand on the board, and then if you have a way to stop me killing you, then I just lose. So yeah, it is what it is. Next is this Gigaplant. I'll take this as the Gemini deck, which has been gaining popularity recently. Let's look at this list. I definitely would not say this list is optimal in any way, shape, or form, but this is one that I've been testing out. Slightly hot take, maybe. This deck is not very good. Like, I haven't played it that much, so I could just be completely ignorant with my evaluation of the deck. But I mean, I have to put it above JB's. Let's be real; like that's just disrespectful if I put it below JB's. No, we'll put it top B. I'll put it below Quick Draw. Yeah, I feel like this deck it's almost like JB's in a sense where if you get rolling, it seems kind of obnoxious, but it can be hard to get rolling. Obviously, there's like if you open like Lone Fire Supervise, it's like pretty broken, but. Yeah, I don't know. It feels like just kind of weak into like back row, and a lot of things can stop your plays, and it does kind of feel a bit high rolly in a sense. Even though it's like it's more of a, I mean, it kind of is, but like I guess it's more of a combo deck than a grind deck. But yeah, it just feels a bit weak to stuff. Like even if your fucking Gemini Soldier just gets deprisoned, you're just like you're pretty sad. So yeah, it doesn't feel that strong. It just feels like it needs a few more cards to be like really good. And again, with this deck, I feel like there's a lot of slots where like there's just card slots where you don't want to play anything. Where it's like I think the guy who played it at the who like came up with the deck and played it at the Nationals, he played like Legacy, like 3 Legacy and 3 Upstart in his deck, where it's like, yeah, there's just not enough cards you actually want to play. So you have to just play cards to draw more cards. Which I mean, obviously, like we know that 37 cards with Upstart is great, but like the fact that you have to play like 3 Upstart and 3 Legacy in a deck should probably say something about the deck. I mean, yeah, it doesn't seem that strong. So I could be completely off on that and willing to accept I'm wrong, but that's just how I feel. And the last one we have is Twilight. I would assume this is like the Twilight plant list with like Mystic Tomatoes, and you play like you make fucking I'm putting in D tier. You make Power Tool, and you have Mark of the Rose. I think this deck's really cool. Is it good? Probably not. It's probably somewhere in B tier. I don't think it's actually topped an event. I think it came close at the Nationals. Like I think it might have made top 32, which is like somewhat close. Yeah, if we're being real, it's probably like here. Like I think it's really fun. I would much rather play it in a tournament than Fairies, just in terms of like enjoyment value. But like, is it actually better than Fairies? Probably not. Like it's probably not. Maybe not even better than Solidarity Gadgets. So, but yeah, this is the tier list at the moment. Anyways, there are a few things, like there's a lot of things I'm iffy on as I've gone over in this video. Like, I don't know about this placement, this one, this is maybe a little bit low. Maybe Hero Frog should be over Black Wings or something. But yeah, I think Vayu is probably the best deck at the moment. It's probably interchangeable. Like playing Black Whirlwind is really nice, which obviously Vayu can't do. So that is a big thing that is pretty relevant. So, but yeah, here's the tier list video. Yeah, I've got a Winterbox tournament coming up soon at my local Edison place. So I'll probably make a deck profile video of whatever I play in that, unless I absolutely go terrible. So yeah, look out for that, I suppose. Yeah, thanks for watching if you've made it through this far, and catch you next time.